and welcome to ADTV, and what a beautiful morning for the cameraman to turn up just a little bit later than myself and Phil, and we've helped ourselves to a couple of absolute Homersfield crackers. A beautiful lake, and today we're going to be talking you through a bit of surface fishing. So a good start, Phil, yep. But looking just over Chris's shoulder, there's a few fish feeding, so we'll get these ones slipped back and talk you through exactly how we go about surface fishing in the warmer months.
Oh, it's nearly comes ready to swing.
Didn't take much encouraging, did they?
No.
So as far as starts go, Phil, it's well worth getting here slightly early. Two mega fish to start the session with. But what we wanted to do before we get fishing anymore, and looking out there, Phil, there's at least one fish that would break my PB, so I'm eager to get fishing again. But we want to talk you through the specialist tackle you need for surface fishing, because in my opinion, what I see a lot of, and there's nothing wrong with it, but you see people who would be fishing 3 rods on the bottom, want to go at surface fishing, they reel one of those in, put the controller float on, they're fishing with the same reel, rod, heavier line that you'd be fishing on the bottom, and just have a go surface fishing. So we're going to go through a dedicated surface fishing setup. We've got nothing else with us today, we are just surface fishing. So probably let you go through it, Phil. If you were going to, like we are today, just surface fishing, what would you bring with you and the reasons why you're doing it?
Yeah, well, I believe in a balanced setup.
Yep.
Like you said, you can catch fish off the top on 3.5
Yeah,
pound test
yeah.
but personally I think you'd lose more fish.
Yep.
The rod's very aggressive, and when you're on these, we're using size 10 hooks today,
Yeah.
and sort of thinner hook links. So if you use a softer rod and balance it all up, you'll be surprised how much pressure you can apply.
You can, yeah.
We've got a bit of light weed in front of us, and as long as we just keep a steady pressure on, you'd be surprised what the gear can handle.
Yeah, and so let's go break it down. So we've got the rod to start with. You're going to go 2.25.
Yeah,
perhaps?
we're using about a 2.25. A reel that balances up with the rod is,
Yep.
you don't need a big bait run or anything.
And you're holding it as well, aren't you?
Yeah,
So-
and it's a bit like float fishing. You've got to get everything balanced up.
Yeah.
It's-
And then line wise, this is probably one of the biggest differences, isn't it? Surface fishing, you want a line that floats, don't you?
Yeah, this is my personal surface fishing. I want the reel line to float,
Yep.
so that when I get a take and I strike, I can pick up the line and connect with the float.
Yeah.
A bit like trotting a river float. But I quite like my hook link just to hang below the surface.
Yeah.
I find if you grease a hook link or use a floating hook link, it sort of casts a shadow on the surface. You can see it laying across the top,
Yeah.
and if it just hangs underneath, I find I get more bites.
Yeah, that is definitely something to play with, because I have always greased my hook link, and having had a go with Phil's rods this morning, they've been noticeably quite confident sometimes to pick them up. So play around with it, grease them, don't grease them, see what works for you. And then going down to the floats, we're
Yep.
both using Bolt Machine Effect floats, aren't we, in 30 gram today.
Yeah, it's quite a big lake, this is, so we're fishing, I guess we're fishing 50, 60 yards there. And the Bolt Machine floats, when the fish takes the bait, 'cause we've got a hair-rigged bait, 9 times out of 10 they'll hook themselves.
Exactly.
You need great vision to look at your surface bait at 50, 60.
Yeah.
You can see it in the right light sometimes, but I trust those floats completely.
Yeah, I'm the same.
You'll see a giant swirl on the surface, and the first thing you'll know is the rod's being pulled around in your hand.
It's a bit like fishing, you know, your normal bolt rig on the bottom, you're just fishing it with a bolt machine on the top, and they come in a variety of sizes, don't they? Like right up to 80, 90 grams even sometimes. So you can fish these at mega range, you know, you can spom some biscuits out, fish them at 80, 90, 100 yards possibly with a bigger float, and there's no way you're going to see your hook bait. So that's what these floats do. And then lastly, Phil, pound of hook link, 12 pound?
Yeah, 10 or 12 pound. It's quite weedy here, so I've got a 12 pound main line and a 12 pound hook link.
Yeah.
As you said, there's some big fish taking some of those mixes, and if we hook them, we want to stand a chance of getting them in.
And then a really small, and it is quite small, size 10, 12?
Size 10's
Size
where
10.
it's a little bit worrying when you've got a big fish charging around these weed beds that you're on a tiny size 10, but with the right rod balanced up, you'll be surprised how much pressure you can give them.
Yeah, and it is very important, that small hook, although sometimes you can really get them smashing the biscuits, they know when your hook bait is, and a slightly smaller hook does help, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Certainly. So as I now look out there, and there is quite a few backs coming out of the water and quite a few fish having a few more dog biscuits, we'll perhaps both pick the rods up and see if we can't have another fish for the camera. When you said it weren't going to take too long, Phil, I didn't quite think you meant that quick. It's pretty explosive take.
This one feels a little bit heavier, but
yeah, I must admit, when I see your rod go over, it certainly did look like there was more of a weight there.
it's just a lot of weed in this swim, and you've got to,
Yeah, to be slightly careful.
trust your gear.
This is where it really becomes apparent that we were just talking about the tackle is balanced and
It's not massive, but it's a nice common. Yeah, if you've got don't use a too high test curve rod, use a rod that's balanced.
yeah, well, exactly. Like we've sort of using 12-pound hook links and lighter surface fishing lines as such. I mean, the last thing you want is a 3-pound test curve rod pulling that, isn't it? As long as you match it up, that's the one.
Yeah, just balance it on. This isn't huge, but he's a nice one. Might get you to do the
I better
honours
get in
with it.
position, yeah. A bit more.
Well done, man.
Hey, well done, Phil. That didn't take long.
Here we go, another absolutely pristine common carp, this one. Gave another really good scrap. Probably not far off 20 pound. But itching to get this one back and see if we can catch a bigger one. Didn't want to hang about, did he?
Very well done, Phil. A cracking little comment and a great time to stop you fishing. One, before you catch another one and take the opportunity away from me. And two, because we want to talk through the baits that we're using today. Now, first of all, what is it you're putting out?
Well, the base of it is just dog biscuits, some
Okay.
John Mixer type
Yep.
dog biscuits. Nothing special, you can buy them from a supermarket.
Yeah.
But I'm a great believer in you can make them a little bit more attractive to the fish.
Definitely.
So I'll put a combination of like an oil-based attractant, like a salmon oil
Yep.
or Sticky Baits cap oil. It does two things. It increases the attraction of the bait, and if there was a slight ripple on today, which there isn't, we're quite lucky that
Yeah,
there isn't.
very lucky.
But if there was a little ripple, it'll cause you a flat spot where the oil disperses off the bait, making it easy for you to see your hook bait amongst them.
Yep.
And the fish just seem to prefer feeding in the calmer water off the surface.
I've noticed that before with big crosswinds. Flatten it off is like, that would be my #1 surface fishing tip, it really would. And then in the mix, you've gone for a few different sizes, haven't you?
Yeah, we have. Yeah, we're quite lucky. Because we're fishing a little bit further out, we're putting them out with a spom. So a mixture of sizes is nice and easy to spom out. If I was fishing a bit closer in and catapulting my loose feed, if you put all different sizes in the catapult, they go all different distances.
Yeah, yes, be
So
yeah.
if I'm spodding, I don't mind a mixture of sizes, and I quite like putting a few little ones in to keep the fish looking for the food,
Definitely.
but not fill them up too
Yeah,
quick.
100%. Yeah, I absolutely love little pellets when I do it. Like 3mm sticky krill's pretty good. They do like 3, 6, and 8mm floating pellets, and like even mixing them together, same as you would like fishing on the bottom. You'd have, you'd have your hemp, wouldn't you? Some
Yeah.
boilies, and just it keeps them guessing what your hook bait is, and I think it makes less wary.
I think sometimes as well, if you're feeding a slightly smaller pellet and you've got a little bit bigger one on the hook, it seems as if they're attracted to the
Something
slightly
that is
bigger
it,
one.
yeah.
I don't know whether it's just me, but you can have loads of little pellets floating out and you're all one amongst them, and they seem to make a beeline for that bigger one sometimes.
Perfect. Well, that brings us on nicely to hook baits.
Yeah.
So your personal preference, and to be fair, mine has been for an awful long while, is just pop-ups. Yeah. Trim down pop-ups.
Yeah, there'd have been a time when I was trying to super glue chum mixers to hooks and using pellet bands, but by far the best way to do it is to get a pop-up boilie, which is a similar colour to your pellets or your dog biscuits, whittle it down with a pair of scissors to make it a similar shape, and then fish it on a really tight hair rig. The advantage is it doesn't lose its buoyancy.
Exactly. Yeah.
It doesn't come off. You've got loads of roaching fish and whittling down and pushing it and knocking it. They just knock it off a hair rig or a bait band, but you can use pretty much the same hook bait all day sometimes.
Yeah, very good, mate. So that is exactly what we're going to get on with now. We're working together. One of us is spomming, one of us fishing, then we're going to switch around. So it's going to be quite active. Bait's going to be readily put into the swim, and hopefully a good shoal of fish having a good munch on the boats we put out just before we started talking. So let's go and catch one of them now.
Yeah.
Called it as a big one as you hooked it, to be fair.
Just saw a big tail flap on the surface. And
Oh yeah, that's a nice one.
lovely common, this one.
Leave some for me, like for the rest of the day though. Oh, another common.
It's not huge, but it's a nice fish.
Yeah, it's a nice fish.
think we're slowly getting the better of him, we hope.
He's coming. Here he comes.
Here he comes, yeah. Take you with it.
Well done, Phil. Well deserved.
Quite a bigger one, isn't it?
Not a bad guess. 25, 10.
25, 10.
25, 10. Well, I'm happy to stop fishing for you for that one, Phil. A bit of congratulations is in order. A mega little surface caught common. Well, I say little, mid 20 pound. I can't really say class as little, but that was the tail we see hit the surface as he took it, and he gave you a bit of a run around, didn't he?
Yeah, they all have today. Yeah, it's brilliant sport.
It is, isn't it? And there is something very, very special about catching them on the top. Those little whittle down hook baits, they really do start like homing in on. When you get that competition going, keep the bait trickling in, and they certainly react to it. Well, if your name's Phil, they react to it. You know, they seem to be avoiding mine. I swear Phil stitched my hook baits up, but I'm sure there'll be one in for me a bit later on. Well done, Phil. Let's get him back.
Yeah, get this one back.
Lovely. So Phil, you are officially banned from fishing now until I catch one. You've had your fair share today, but actually in traditional British summertime, the weather has changed a little bit. The wind has strung round. Actually, it's quite hard to fish over there, wasn't it? It made it quite awkward, didn't
Constantly
it?
getting a crosswind, so you get a big bow in your line, and with the surface fishing, you're trying to mend the line all the while. So if you get it so you've got the wind on your back, it just makes life a lot easier.
Yeah, definitely. It has been quite awkward for a little while. So like I said, we've found this quiet corner and there is loads of fish here. So resist temptation, it is my go. And another thing to mention, some key equipment for surface fishing is what we've both had today, isn't it?
Yeah.
Glasses and a hat have been on and off, and it's a real visual game, isn't it? It's important.
You've got to find the fish and see the fish. I wouldn't just keep trickling bait through the swim. If you're not seeing fish feed, move.
Yeah,
just keep
100%,
looking for them.
yeah.
You know, on the right day in the right conditions, when you find them, they'll be well up for it.
They certainly give themselves away, don't they? Big swells, big splashes, and you know you're in for a fish or two. So that's exactly what I'm going to do. Phil, you get on the dog biscuits, I'm getting on the rod, and we'll see if we can sign off with another hummus field carp. Well, Phil, as far as moves go, that was definitely worth a little bit of effort to see a few other fish, but the concentration of fish there just before I got that bite was probably the most I've seen on the surface competing for a long while. So it's really weedy here. I didn't realise quite how weedy it was, but I'm trusting your gear here, Phil.
Is it still plugged in the weed?
He's just sort of pinging in and out of weed beds, so just slow pressure on it. Yeah, he's coming.
Well, he's not as big as we thought. It's a little mirror. He's rolled on the line. I don't think he's fouled up. He's just...
No, I think he has just rolled on it. He's not happy though.
No, he isn't.
He's on his way now. You're not wrong, were you? I have picked the smallest one in there.
They're harder to catch because they don't eat so much.
Yeah, I'll take that. I'll class that one as a success then. Here he comes.
No.
Well done.
Well done, Widget.
Well, there we go. Phil, they say the smaller ones are harder to catch, and the match angler me has shone through. It's the smallest one of the day, but what a cracking looking fish. He's got plenty of character and he's going to grow on, I'm sure, to be one of them special ones that we've seen feeding out there today. But thanks, Phil. You've enjoyed your tips, and letting me borrow your gear has been quite good as well. So I've been able to have a fish today. But hopefully now is the perfect time to get out surface fishing. For these warmer months, there's certainly going to be chances to be had. So put those tips into practice today. If you're not out there already, get out on the surface, and hopefully you too will be catching some decent fish off the top.